Hello and welcome to another episode of the Meira K Show, and this is probably the best episode yet because I have the one and the only, the legend, Xaviaer DuRousseau, right?
Legend. I made it there?
Yeah, you actually have.
You're too sweet.
I mean, with this hair and this suit, is it not legendary? I think it just might be.
Somebody's got to do it. Somebody has to serve looks around here, you know? It can't just be us.
No, but I'm not gonna include myself in this. I think this outfit is rocking, but we're not here to talk about rock outfits because we have so much politics to discuss here at the JNS conference. So how's it been so far?
It's been amazing. You know, so many intelligent minds. I feel like everybody's notebooks are filled with just so much knowledge. You know, it's really inspirational to be around and see the different perspectives of people that are really boots on the ground from a high level to a more local level. It's really impressive to see.
I mean, the amount of information that we have gathered in the last 2 days, I pride myself on knowing what is happening, what is going on, and then I come here and I realize I am miles behind. So let's dive into some topics. Number one, we're going to start with our panel. We spoke about this future of social media, okay? What that looks like, how we target audiences, and how we actually finally share the truth. Xavier, what are your thoughts?
On how we actually share the truth. You know, we just have to continue to be unapologetic. You know, right now we're in this renaissance where people are wanting to get information again. I feel like Gen Z particularly gets this rep that people think that we don't want to learn. We don't want to see discourse. We don't want to have these challenging conversations. But there's so many things that prove the otherwise of that. You know, like you said earlier, we have Jubilee, for example, that has made millions of dollars off of having young people sit and have challenge each other's ideas. And then you see this rise of new media personalities like ourselves and like so many people out there becoming the next wave of the Ben Shapiros of the world because people want to hear substance again. People are thirsting for it.
100%. And if you're not familiar with Xavier's show on PragerU, respectfully, Xavier, even though I think you can sometimes be far from respectful.
Oh, am I?
That's really the point.
I'm a little shady sometimes.
You should go listen to it because he is giving over such important values through culture, through entertainment, through talking about current political events. And so let's talk about Iran. Did you see the attack on the Iran harbor that blew up tons of chemicals and killed a bunch of people and injured a bunch of people? Did you see about this?
I did not. When was this?
Okay, I am breaking news to Xavier. Guys, it is checked off my bucket list. So,
Miss a Days, that's a lot.
Legit. 2 days ago, there was an explosion on the Iran harbor in a location that Israel has bombed before, okay? Or targeted before. I'm not sure if bombed is correct. And there are hundreds of casualties, but Israel has said it is not us. Anyway, because it was a chemical area, the attacks have kind of kept on going. The explosions have kept on going. There are a lot of injured people. And honestly, it's an interesting topic to talk about. What do you think? Do you think America and Israel might be behind this?
I think if America or Israel were behind this, we would have said it. I mean, we're not moving in secrecy. One thing that I really like about Israel is there's a lot of transparency there. You know, when you see Israel make an attack, it's because it's retaliating against something. It's never that there's the offense there. So I feel like it would be a known thing if that was America or Israel. Now, I don't know why Iran or anybody that really is following Iran would sit there and pretend like America and Israel are their only enemies. I mean, they tend to kind of piss off a lot of people around the world for being so honest about it. So, you know, we don't know. Was it a mistake that potentially happened there? Was it one of their other enemies? I don't know. But, you know, the truth will always reveal. Everything in the dark comes to the light.
100%. And I think on that topic, Saudi Arabia don't like the Islamic Republic of Iran. And they are correct to not like the terror axis because it's a terrible thing to like. But it is always important to ask yourself, what are the intentions? Okay, what is the possible agenda behind the scenes? Why would somebody attack? Before you say, oh, maybe it was Israel, maybe it was America, maybe it was Saudi Arabia, maybe it was the Iranian people, you need to ask yourself what each person has to gain. And that's what we always try and do here. So I would say America gains maybe fear during the discussions, but I think Trump's doing a great job of that, making it very clear to Iran that they're just not going to get away with a nuclear deal. Israel basically gains nothing, actually, because they're much better off taking credit.
Right.
Saudi Arabia or the Iranian people?
You know, it could be. I don't want to, you know, cast blame to anyone because I don't have enough information on it yet to make a theory about it. But what I will say is one thing about President Trump, Donald Jaquan Trump, as I like to call him, he's going to let you know if he's pressing that big red button because he wants people to respect America, to respect our strength, to respect our military. And if he is going to make an attack like that, oh, he's going to stand on it.
And boy, oh boy, can we say that the respect for America has shot up with Trump. It's been amazing. Like, I don't know if you know this, but the Israeli people are looking at what Trump does a little bit of fear. You know, he's kind of like the ocean. You kind of have to be a little a little wary, but also love it, like this kind of combination.
He has us on our toes, and America too.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure, Make America Great Again is not coming at a simple price, but at the end of the day, you're 100% correct. I think that if Trump was buying this, he would totally take credit. And my thoughts right now are with the Iranian people who have been subjugated by the Islamic Republic, a terror organization, for way too long. We want them to fight back. We want them to help themselves, and we're going to do everything in our power to do that. So we have no idea. If you come to us for answers, we don't have answers. But what we do have is hopes and prayers for a better world that does not involve nuclear abilities to the Islamic Republic.
Or musty terrorists. I'm very anti-musty terrorists.
Okay, on to the next topic. A ceasefire deal is being reported in the media, and honestly, before we even get into the details, I think this is rubbish, and that's where my English is going to come out from Britain. I think this is absolute rubbish. But apparently Hamas agreed to a ceasefire deal that would mean they would release all of the hostages, 7 alive, 59 of them, in exchange for a 5-year ceasefire. Likely or unlikely?
First of all, is this a safe space? A safe space? Yeah, I don't think Hamas should be agreeing on anything. I think that Hamas shouldn't even have the opportunity to agree because they shouldn't exist. They're talking about a 5-year ceasefire deal. Hamas shouldn't exist for 5 minutes, let alone for 5 years. And what that sounds like to me is if you're going to have this 5-year deal, then that's just taking time for Hamas to be able to gather their weapons again, get their wits back about them. You have more babies and whatever to try to prepare for their next generation of terrorism, if we're being so real about it. There is no positive consequence of agreeing with Hamas. You cannot negotiate with a terrorist organization. This is not a government entity that should be even recognized in the capacity of a negotiation deal. Hamas needs to be wiped off the earth, period, for good, and to make it done in a way that they're never going to try this BS again because they've been doing this for a whole long time, thousands of years at this point, it feels like. So, yeah, there's no benefit in negotiating with these terrorists. They need to be wiped off the map. We need the hostages back home, and that's the end of the discussion.
Okay, so whilst we're here with tons of energy and personality, I actually want to ask you a really serious question for a second. Okay, I, as an Israeli, have unbelievably complicated feelings about this whole hostage situation. Why? Because I want all of them home. Earlier today, I interviewed the father of a hostage. Obviously, we want them to come back, right? But at what cost? At what cost? And I'm interested in hearing your perspective from the outsider. As an outsider to this country, what do you say? What does one do when the only way to potentially get them home is to negotiate with these terrorists, but we shouldn't be negotiating or giving them any sort of validity? How would you navigate this? What would your country do?
It's very difficult because, it's decisions like this that make me not envy someone that's in a high-level military position because it's much easier said than done. Me personally, I don't like negotiating. That thought of even negotiating with a terrorist organization because you're giving leverage to people that operate through hate. They don't operate through integrity. So if Israel gives their side of the deal and they come through with their side of the deal, like in the same way that Israel has done time and time again, who is to say that Hamas is actually going to follow through and give it 5 years? The only reason the Hamas would spend 5 years not attacking Israelis and Jews and Christians is because they are gathering their resources and weapons again. So it's touchy, but as far as I'm concerned, whatever it takes to wipe these people off the planet, that's what I'm full sending on.
Even the hostages, even at the expense of the hostages?
I definitely want to say that. Israel, one of the things I really respect about Israel and the IDF is they always find a way. What that way is, I don't know. I don't have the brain of somebody that's a military personality that knows how to go through and navigate this difficult situation. There really is not a pretty ending to this, but, I would hope that force continues to work to an extent. I mean, some of the hostages have been brought home, but I don't know. I just don't think that you can negotiate with people that are built on hate. Their entire foundation is on being irrational. So how do you rationalize with them?
And I just want to add to this point. I think there's this idea of extremism. It's either they all come home or none of them come home, or or Hamas are eradicated or Hamas are allowed to live freely. There's a middle ground, and the media never, ever allows us to see that or think about that. But remember, we've gone over 100 hostages home through a slow and extremely, extremely painful process, but it's not all or nothing. The one thing that does need to be all or nothing, and I'll say this, and it might not happen today or tomorrow, is the elimination and eradication of Hamas. That we're all clear on. How many hostages we can get home during this period of negotiations is a question. But that has to be an absolute truth.
I couldn't agree more.
Humanitarian aid. You know where I stand. Absolutely non-negotiable. Come on, Xavier. What do you think?
Can you clarify?
should Israel be spending its money to give the Gazan Palestinian aid?
Oh, hell no. That's what you're talking about, humanitarian? There's so many places where the humanitarian aid question can go when people are asking me about it. But as far as giving it to Gaza, no. I mean, because here's the thing. Israel had been giving humanitarian aid to Gaza for how long? Giving them greenhouses, resources, all of this. What do? They turn it into missiles. They turn water pipes into missiles. This is why they're musty and they can't shower. Hamas is going to take any resources that Israel sends over anyway and exploit it, just like they keep all the cash. If we're going to give any humanitarian resource over to Israel or to Gaza, it's getting rid of Hamas, because then all the things that they are gatekeeping and holding to themselves and exploiting by not giving it to their people while taking all these resources in, it's like the best thing you can possibly do to free these people is free them from Hamas.
Can I get an Xavier 2028 hat, please? I mean,
no, because then I can't say what I really want to say.
Okay, fine.
Like I can now.
But maybe you can. Maybe we can change the way this government thing works to just being able to talk our minds.
No, American politics are too ghetto. And they don't want to hear as much truth as they pretend to.
I do hear. Okay, Iran nuclear deal going to go through?
I'm not 100% familiar with that.
Okay, so right now there's a conversation. Iran has nukes, or they have the ability, or they're enriching their ability to be able to have a nuclear bomb. Guess what? To do what? With?
Terror.
Yeah, Israel and America. Like, they're very clear about that. So right now, Israel is saying, we're going to go after them militarily, and Trump has said, let's try and discuss and create a deal with them to kind of back off and stop them from enriching. Do you think the Iranian people will fall for that and do it, or do you think Israel's going to have to go in militarily?
I think there's a chance to negotiate with Iran. When it comes to Hamas, no, that's a terrorist organization. That is not a formal government, but they are acting as if they are the government, basically. I mean, they are elected, so you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They are literal terrorists. That is an extremist group. With Iran, it's like, I do believe that they have advanced enough that we can have a conversation with them. But if they do not pull back, then I think that the conversations need to get a bit more, forward. But I'm hesitant to wage war against Iran because that is going to lead to World War III, in my opinion. So I would say, take as many precautionary steps as we can before we have to really put our foot in where it needs to go.
Sounds like you and Trump are aligned. Okay, fine. One last question. Deep state in Israel. I don't know if you're familiar with this thing, but last night Netanyahu gave a speech here, okay? And he came at us with the deep state, and he did not hold back. Netanyahu is not known for his very, very upfront talking, but I think in a room full of people that love him, support him, and vow by him, he was comfortable to say what should have been said a long time ago. The deep state is real. We know it's real, and it's fighting Israel from within. You've experienced a little bit about this. What would you recommend to Israelis who are up against the fight for deep state?
Wow. Okay. Wow. That is such a loaded question. So I'll put it this way. What I say to people in America is that we need to demand and fight for transparency at whatever cost. You need to make sure that you are taking full advantage of the fact that you have a democracy here. You need to vote out people. You need to identify and vote out people that are a part of the swamp. Okay. Getting a deep state out of your country is a very difficult task that President Trump has been shot at 3 times. He has been shot in the ear. He has had his family and his reputation and everything be attacked because of his effort to drain the swamp and get rid of the deep state. Over in Israel, it's like, I don't know all the ins and outs of it, how similar your rights are to what we have in America when it comes to free speech and everything, but you really have to fight for the ability to acknowledge it and identify it so that you can find a solution.
Do you know that Israel doesn't have a constitution?
I did. So that's why I'm like, I don't understand, or I don't know like what your equivalent would be to a Bill of Rights, but in America, we have at least the option of, or we at least have the ability of free speech.
Right.
So that has been very crucial and critical in the last 5 years, especially, of people exposing all the different things that are happening in our country in America. That's why we have Doge with Elon Musk, the Department of Government Efficiency, getting rid of a lot of these deep state organizations, these huge federal organizations that are causing a bunch of corruption. So in Israel, that's a little beyond me, but I really, really would say that if there's one thing you can do or try your best to do is take advantage of the fact that you have a democracy.
Okay, so for those of you who are unfamiliar with Xavier, which seems to me kind of impossible, Xavier really, really is at the forefront of the cultural fight to make America great again, right? Am I correct?
Amen.
He believes in removing this woke ideology, which is shocking, sad, and bringing America to its knees, or did, until Trump came in. And he has been such a vocal voice in sanity, bringing sanity back where we need it. What can Israel learn from America?
The importance of attacking and addressing propaganda head on. You have to nip propaganda in the butt. I have dedicated my entire career essentially to trying to fight false narratives, fake revisions of history, and propaganda. And it's because for far too long, I believed in the woke narrative. I believed in some of the Marxist ideology that I had been indoctrinated by my family about. My family members, they were indoctrinated generations before them. So when I started, I looked into PragerU, for example. I work at PragerU now. It's very full circle because I wanted to make a whole series debunking PragerU. And for those unfamiliar, PragerU, it's an educational media company. It's a nonprofit. We talk about politics, culture, but most importantly, American and, Judeo-Christian values. And I wanted to debunk them because I was like, oh, they're a conservative organization. Let's see how much fraud that there is there. And then I ended up debunking myself instead. And then that's when I backed up and I was like, wow, I really have been falling for this propaganda for so long. And my entire career at this point is a revenge arc of the fact that I had this victim mindset because of propaganda. So that's how it even has bled into now I'm talking so much about Israel and the importance of Zionism and fighting anti-Semitism because I know how powerful and how dangerous propaganda can be. That's how the Holocaust happened. When too many good people sit around and do nothing, it gives power to the bad people. That is how the Holocaust happened. Go to the museum. Go educate yourself on the fact that it was decades of misinformation and hate being spewed and just completely nonsensical narratives being spread around that led to the Holocaust. And what are we seeing now with this whole Free Palestine movement? People are out there defending topics and issues and subject matters that they have no actual credible truth about. So we have to fight propaganda, and that's what I want to see more of in Israel, is people standing up and being vocal about what it is they do not support.
And that's exactly what we're doing here at JNS. So you've been to Israel multiple times. What's your favorite thing about it?
Ooh, depends on the time of day. Okay, so I love the nightlife here. I love the history here. I love the food here. I'm obsessed with the shuk. One thing about me, I'm going to go to the shuk. Okay?
I'm going to take you to the shuk. I'm going to take you to the shuk.
No shade to Tel Aviv. I love Tel Aviv, but the Jerusalem shuk is where it's at. Okay? You better get to Yehuda Market. That's my place. But it's really like I love one of the many things I love about Israel. It's all the intersectionalities of things that I enjoy. As time has gone on, I used to hate history as a kid, but as I get older, the more I realize how important history is. So you're literally able to walk 3,000 years back in time by going to the city of David, going to Old City Jerusalem. You're getting to see all these different things, and you're seeing such an incredible multicultural system where you're getting to see all these different cultures, learn their history, learn their views, and you get to see it blend together in a way that is so beautiful. So I love going to seeing all the historical sites. Again, the food, I always go on at least 3 food tours while I'm here. I'm hoping I leave here without a big back. But also the nightlife, because let me tell you something. If you have never been to Israel, one of the things that shocked me the most was every single day it's a party. You can go to the shuk, you can go to Tel Aviv, you can go to Shalbata. Shout out to Shalbata. Okay, I shouldn't even say that though, because I know the local Israelis sometimes joke like mocking.
We don't go to Shalbata. I'll tell you that much.
Don't go. It's the tourism place. It's the ecology place. I don't care. I like the club, so I like going to the club. In Tel Aviv.
I think we should do a series called Xavier and Meira, the ultra-Orthodox mom, go to a club together.
Go to the club.
Go to the club. What do you think? Okay, final question for you. Can America learn anything from Israel?
Can America learn anything from Israel? Can America learn anything from Israel? I would say resilience. I really love the resilience and the unity when times are tough, how much Israelis come together. When I came here after October 7th and 90 days after October 7th, it was really eye-opening to me because the first time I visited Israel, I saw the joy, I saw all the beauty, I saw the incredible things. When I came back 90 days after October 7th, that was when I saw the resilience and the heart of Israelis. People who had never even met each other before, coming together, locking arms, singing prayers, and realizing that, we are in a fight together. And the people here are so strong, and I think that sense of patriotism is very strong, too. Yes, if you ask any Israeli, they're going to give you a very long explanation about their political views. They have no shame in voicing their opinion. And, at the end of the day, whether they're left or they're right here, what I have seen the sentiment of is that there is a fight to win. There is a fight to unify. There is a fight to move this country forward. In America, our political system has gotten to the point where it's so tribalistic that the left and the right simply want to destroy each other. It's like, no, we need to come together and destroy the enemy. We need to find a way to compromise. And I want to see more Americans learn that from Israelis, because again, from what I have seen, it seems like Israelis are on a united mission, even if they're going at it from different angles.
I absolutely love this message. The message of hope, you know, like we always focus on everything that's going wrong because there's so much going wrong. And as Jews, we just can't help but complain over Geschwama, obviously, in the shuk. But at the end of the day, look at that. There's so much to learn. We are doing great and we're going to keep on doing great. So I'm Meira. Thank you, Xavier, for being here. And we will see you next time.
Thanks for having me.